This is your Monday Daily Delivery. I am Michael Rand. Patrick Reusse on today. We talked for quite a while, lost track of time a little bit, so most of the show will be Patrick and I talking a little bit of Twins at some point, some Lynx, and some all-time choke jobs after what we witnessed in golf over the weekend. So we're going to hop to that right away right now because that's what we do on Mondays. Good to have you back again, Patrick. Lots to get to today, including Lexi Thompson. I want to talk about the performance down the stretch yesterday. Not great, but I want to use that kind of as a vehicle for other disappointing chokes, if you want to call them that. But what did you see out of the golf that you watched yesterday?
Well, she's hitting it further than anybody, playing great, and she gets to the back nine. She's 5 up and ends up not even making the playoff. And I wasn't focused completely. I was clicking back over off and on, but she hit some ungodly shots that were awful. A couple little chunked approach shots that were little, basically little flip wedges that she chunked. And then the real choke in the thing was her last 2 putts for par. She missed like a 4-footer, 3-footer, and didn't get it to the hole. And then on the last hole, she needs it to tie, and she doesn't hit it. She doesn't make sure it gets there, right? I mean, What are you trying to do? Finish second? Come on, you gotta hit that one hard enough to know it in. Now I've played that golf course, so the Olympic Club, and I didn't do very well.
It must have been a while ago because you don't really play much anymore.
No, I don't. It was one year we had a great trip out there, Pebble, and we played a bunch of them with the Minnesota 10, the guys that worked the press room all the years for the USGA, this collection of goofballs. But yeah, I did 5-putt on that green. It's a little difficult, but I'm not Lexi Thompson, one of the most talented women's players of all time. But it was brutal. And then I saw that she chose not to talk afterwards too. So I was there for Greg Norman's. I don't think, though, Mike, in sports there's anything more excruciating than a golf choke, right?
No, because there's nobody else, nobody to help you. You don't have a teammate or anything to help you. You're just all alone.
Yeah, and it's and then they get going bad. I was there for Norman. Yeah, and Lumpy did it too yesterday. Yeah, our guy Lumpy was just brutal. He just played awful after playing great. Now it's certainly not like blowing the U.S. Women's Open, but there was 2 of them back and forth going on. It's just, there's no head game like golf, is there? Nothing.
No.
When the brain goes, nothing can save you. So but I was at Norman's. And Norman, of course, I actually wrote about this the other day when I was that Norman became, Norman in 1996. He's 6 up and ends up losing by 5.
Yeah,
he shot. Nick Faldo shot 67. He shot 78.
That's amazing
on the last day. But Norman came in and answered questions for 45 minutes, and virtually everyone then wrote what a stand-up guy he was.
Right.
I didn't, but everybody else did.
Right.
I did not forget that he blew that he got beat by 11 strokes by the guy in his group, but it is. Here's the other thing. It'll be interesting. Do we reach the point now in equity, equality in sports? Can Lexi get savaged like Greg Norman did? I heard that whoever was doing the play-by-play yesterday, whoever it was, basically asked that question about her not being able to accept the moment or something. And I think, is it that Morgan Presley or somebody who does the golf now? Sure. And you could see that she just she did not want to go there
No.
as to whether she couldn't handle the moment or not. So it was interesting. But yeah, golf is it was quite a golf weekend. And our girl Sarah Burnham, I actually know pretty well. I had her on my radio show a couple of times. She also, she doesn't hit it far enough to be a contender, but she had a great round at the U.S. Open on Friday, and she shot the lowest round of the tournament on Friday, and then I think over the weekend was 15 over or something like that. So it was, the golf course was a little too much for her, but just the I guess the twists and turns of golf were on full display for us this weekend. That's for sure.
And like you said,
and then we got John Rahm getting thrown out of the tournament.
Right. How about that?
When he's 6 ahead, but I was feeling sorry for him. But then I found out that they don't even test guys that are vaccinated. So he's one of those morons that didn't get vaccinated. So the hell with him. Let him have the tournament. Let him lose the tournament. Why would if you're a golfer and you're out there and they're mingling with people again now?
Right.
Why would you not? It's just ridiculous. 100%. Yep.
You're right though. Golf in terms of just you get the muscle memory of golf, obviously, the repetition of the swing, but you get so much time to think about it as opposed to any other sport. I mean, you can see, you start to see maybe the only I guess there's some comparables in sports, like a pitcher who suddenly can't find the strike zone, who just can't repeat the mechanics because they're all out there sitting by themselves, in the pressure moment. But
I don't think Hansel Robles would finish the U.S. Open by himself out there. Do you? I think
no.
I think Hansel had misfire a few times down the stretch. hit it out of the woods. Hey, one golf thing. 30th anniversary coming up this week, basically, of the U.S. Open at Hazeltine.
Oh, sure. 91.
And that made us, that's the tournament that made us a golf mecca again, because Hazeltine had this horrible reputation, from the first time they had the Open. And they changed the course dramatically. Now they had the U.S. Women's Open in 83, I think, or something. Yeah. No way. It was somewhere. And they had the Senior Open. But 1991, 30 years ago, is when we became a golf mecca. And we proved our love of golf on the Monday when we had two guys playing and 35,000 people showed up for the playoffs. We had 35,000 people wanting to watch two guys play golf. That doesn't work. That does not work. I've called it the lowest moment in the history of Minnesota sports. that there were people sitting in the bleachers on the 16th hole down there, that one down by the water at Hazeltine, 2 hours before Payne Stewart and Simpson teed off.
Oh man.
They were there. They were there for 5.5 hours waiting to get there, waiting to see guys hit two shots into the green. It's unbelievable. We were so nuts. We were nuts. But anyway, that's a big event, and that's probably the biggest event ever in Minnesota sports, because it changed Hazeltine's image and it reminded people that we're nuts for golf if it's a big event. So
when you covered the Norman thing, is that the biggest big moment, choke that you've covered? It doesn't have to be golf. I mean, we're talking about Minnesota sports too, but is that the biggest? Because I mean, we've had our moments. We've had our moments here. I don't know if you've noticed, but in Minnesota too, we've tended to struggle in the clutch moments.
Yeah. Well, I would think as far as Minnesotans are concerned, it would be the 99 playoff game.
Yeah.
I would say that was certainly bigger than that. I mean, Norman, was for me to watch the pain of that. I actually walked around for most of the day that, finding little areas to watch. And that was the worst. But the 99 football, Gary Anderson missing the field goal is probably, and I don't even think you can call that a choke, can you, Mike? Because he missed it by like 4 inches.
Right.
It's not like it was some big wild hook where, like Blair Walsh, where he was a cupcake and he missed it,
No,
but it was
just the
but
whole
it
game, though. I mean,
certainly is a phenomenal. Yeah, just a phenomenal event in Minnesota sports. There's no doubt about it. I think, I would put it in, win or lose. I'd put it with game 6 and 7 in the World Series as Minnesota events, that will either cause us to celebrate or haunt us for our entire lives. And that one was, that game, losing that game to the Falcons at home, and I remember is walking back to the paper, and it was a mushy day. Remember, it was muddy, mushy day.
Yeah.
And all these that parking lot, but it was between us and
it was just a few blocks away. Yeah.
Yeah, we were 3 buildings. All these flags laying in the muck.
Yeah.
Those little flags that people put on windows. Somebody must have tossed one. There had to be 150 of them in that parking lot laying in the muck because people took them off their windows. So that's the hardest loss. And if you want to call it a choke, it certainly was. This was what we all forget is Atlanta was 14-2.
They were. I know, which is weird because the Vikings were still like 10.5-point favorites or something in that game.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was an offensive. I look just for giggles. I had John Wareham find it for me, our great library guy at the Star Tribune. Sid's column a couple of days later, because I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Sid basically said, "We're lucky we lost because the Vikings had so many injuries."
I remember that. They did, but it was It was amazing.
I had a few injuries, but that was Sid. I was thinking that this is we need Sid in our lowest moments to remind us the worst loss in Minnesota history was fortunate.
That's a hard one to spin a positive on. It's amazing.
But he did it. We miss him, man alive.
Well, we need to talk about the Lynx a little bit. We haven't talked a ton about them. Their season's not too deep in, but 0-4. Kind of like, we saw the Twins obviously still struggling. We'll talk about them in a minute. They've won a couple, but their season is not improved really from that bad start. Same with, Minnesota United's rallied a little bit, but the Lynx, they started 0-4. It's probably the team we had the least amount of panic about when you start that bad. Now they've come back and won 3 in a row. They get Collier back, which was the big thing because she was missing early on because she was still playing overseas. And, some of these new players are doing pretty well now. But yeah, 3 in a row now for them after beating Atlanta and beating them pretty bad.
Got 100
got 100 on them. Yeah,
you get 100. That's pretty good. I wasn't glued to the TV, let's say, but it's basketball. When you don't have your best player, you're not going to be as good as you were. And,
right.
And she's Collier's obviously their best player, and she bailed them out when they just barely beat Atlanta on Friday, right? And then yesterday they just drilled them. And what's interesting is it Clarendon, the other guard, that was just floating around. That definitely helps. They'll be. I would guess they'll be pretty good. I don't know. I see that Phoenix lost Tarasi for 6 weeks or something like that. So it's they know who's healthy, who's not, and they're. Are they limiting their crowds at the WNBA? They must be.
I think they are still. Yeah,
they've only been having a couple thousand, and they usually have a better following than that. I said that. I mean, what are we going to get with it here? Come on, let's stop being so stupid. And we're letting people out and about. There's no restrictions anymore. What are they waiting for? Let's let people in the arenas. Come on.
Yeah, league protocols. I think.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
The protocols should be based on what's going on in your state, right?
You would think. Yeah, maybe it's hard with,
I don't know.
With a national rule versus a local rule. But yeah, I would think they'll probably be there pretty soon. I feel like if memory serves, they were kind of they're going to ramp up kind of like all these other sports, and kind of maybe they're going to use the Olympic break as a point to go all the way up. I don't know, but
I don't know. What are the odds? Olympics. I don't think they're going to get caught. I don't think they're going to come off.
Oh, I don't know.
Japan is going nuts. Boy, we got some work out of Rachel this week, didn't we? At the Star Tribune, she was writing gymnastics, diving. She had like three different things going. She does a great job at the Olympics for us. She's a very good writer, and she knows all these people. She can call them up, and mom and dad will talk to her, and everybody else will. She does a hell of a job for the Star Tribune.
Well, it's kind of funny. We were watching the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, the women's, last night.
Yes,
and my 7-year-old daughter hadn't really watched a lot of, because it's been 4 years, five years, I guess, since the Summer Olympics. She'd have been 2 the last time the Summer Olympics were on, and gymnastics just aren't on a whole lot. So I was like, hey, the U.S. Championships are on. Let's turn it on. She starts watching. She is mesmerized. She's like, I want to watch more. I want to watch more. I'm like, I guess we're watching the trials. We're watching the Olympics this year. She is into it like 100% right now.
Oh yeah, they're. I'm not sure they're quite as phenomenal as they were, but they really changed the Olympics, the gymnastics, because it used to be a track and field meet. Back in the day, it was like the big thing was track and field in the '60s into the '70s, and and then it was kind of the manly sports. But when maybe when Nadia Comaneci came along and turned, this is Montreal, so 76 was it? And or was that Munich? I can't remember. One of 70. Nadia Comaneci came along. She made women's gymnastics must-see television, and it's probably been the number one event in the Summer Olympics for quite a while. That and swimming has surpassed track and field too, as far as an event, because everybody can. Because somebody can win 5 or 6 different medals because they have so many different events. That I remember somebody once saying, every time they jump in the water, they get a little difference. They swim backwards, they swim forwards. He was complaining about all the events. They can't swim backwards, they swim forwards, but they have so many events that. But yeah. Women's gymnastics is phenomenal. There's nothing that the Summer Olympics are luckier to have than that, because when you look at the ratings now of Olympics, it's women watching. It's the only sport there is that that has both genders in it, that more women watch than men do. The Olympics are a much bigger event with women than they are with men.
We'll see if they happen this year. You're thinking they're gonna pull the plug? I feel like I feel like there's too much money at stake that they'll figure out a way to get this done.
Boy, they got issues over there though. They got all the medical people saying don't have them, and then the only 30% of the population wants them to have them, and I don't know. They're how would I know? But I'm sure they're resolved to do it because the IOC wants its money. But if I feel sorry for Japan, man, they spent like billions, way more billions than anyone ever has, and they're gonna take them. They're not letting people from other countries come in either way, which is the reason you have the Olympics, right?
Right.
So it's not good, because the Japan's has their inoculation program is way behind a lot of the world, kind of like Canada.
Right.
Canada, what are they doing? Bringing in the vaccines by dog sled up there?
That's a good question. I don't know why
those idiots.
I don't know why they're so far
start
behind.
Vaccinating people, you morons. You don't have any people.
Right.
You got as many people as Texas, the whole state. And
right.
Come on, let's go. We want to see Linneman again. Let's get going here.
I think he's
Linneman out of Toronto. Come on,
I think he's got his shot. I think he's okay.
But, he does, but they're still not traveling there.
No, I know. We do want to see him. Let's talk Twins a little bit at the end here. 1-2 in Kansas City, but again, it's this team that they play the Yankees on Tuesday. Normally we'd be getting, this would be like the litmus test series, right? This would be like, oh,
Yes.
okay, we're doing all right, but now it's the Yankees. Can they beat the Yankees in the regular season? Doesn't that matter in the playoffs?
Right
But
now, we're saying, boy, can they beat the Pirates? So it doesn't make any,
can they beat the Tigers?
Beat the Tigers, right? It's a bloodbath. It's a battle between those two teams. No, yesterday was a perfect example of what's wrong with this team. I mean, they won 2-1, okay, but they should have scored 8 runs, and they scored 2 because they do not take advantage of opportunities that are presented to them,
right.
Whether it is to catch a ball, hit a ball, or pitch a ball. They do not take advantage of anything. They can lose in all 3 areas. And yesterday, they have to end up, they got to, on a day when they had endless opportunities against mediocre pitching, they have to fight. Tyler Rogers has to fight from a man on second, nobody out situation in the 9th inning to win the game for them. That should not be a game that you're sitting around, twisting and turning to win. You got to get 4 or 5 runs in that game minimum, and they just don't have it. They do not have it in any era, and I think it's going to be a fire sale next month myself. I think I think they're going to move 5-6 guys.
You think they move Berrios is the big question.
Yes.
You think they will?
They're not going to pay him. I don't think so.
Who's going to pitch?
Because he'll want 100. He'll want 100 million.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give it to him. That might not even be enough anymore. I think they'll trade him. Yes, I do.
Who's going to pitch though? I mean, he hasn't been great this year, but he's been good. They've won most of his starts
But I think they'll make a run at him, in July to try to sign him.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll get it done. I mean, they haven't been able to get anything done with him on any kind of a deal. It's always been, they always muscle him, to make a deal, and he's a free agent next year. I mean, he'll be looking at free agency next year, and now they won't trade him if they're not going to get a lot.
Right.
I mean, they'll wait till winter if they have to, but if there are teams, trying to win like the Yankees or something, who could use starting pitching, and they're going to willing to, dump out their farm system to a degree. I think they'll trade him if they can make him a real good deal.
Yeah, he's definitely their most tradable commodity. I mean, if you're trying to restock, kind of retool on the fly, maybe get someone who's close to contributing.
The guy who's finishing games for you now too.
Yeah,
Rogers could get you a whole bunch too.
Yeah, that's just trying to imagine the Twins without Rogers and Barrios right now. They'd have 18 wins.
Well, it'll be 63 and 99 or 59 and 103 if they do that. But
because I was looking it up the other day, that 2011 team, that 2011 team that started so poorly, they were 17 and 37 at one point. They actually rallied to the point where they were 46 and 51, and there were actually discussions because they were only 5 games back in the division at that point in late July. We're like, should they be buyers or should they be sellers? They were actually honest conversations like that year. Then they finished 63 and 99, so they lost they went 17 and 47 or something down the stretch.
No, I had them at 19. I've always used that. You got it. They got the 44 and 49, I think. Because Mackey was putting out "It's Happening" T-shirts at the radio station, which are still floating around.
Right, those are funny.
But they ended up 19 and 50. They won.
Yeah, that's right.
They went 19 and 50. That's the figure. And boy, I mean, that was the year they were having guys like Pedro Hernandez start games in September, and the next year he's pitching for the Saints. And they were. They were brutal. Boy, they got a bad break over the weekend too. That Canarino, they went on a DL down in Cedar Rapids with a bad elbow, and he's the man. They love that kid. I saw him in spring training 2-3 times, pitch BP to the big boys, and then he pitched a few innings, but he's their number one starting prospect. Big, strong, stud pitcher from Reusse. And, all those guys are a little older than they should be because of last year.
Right. They all missed a year.
And he's 23. But he's probably he didn't get the pub of some of these guys like Duran and those, but he's their, to me, their number one starting prospect. He was the guy they were raving about this spring, the players talking about him. We got the few that we got a chance to talk about it now. Now they're saying they think it's precautionary, but anytime
elbow's a tough one.
Anytime a stud starter gets a sore elbow, you get nervous. Doesn't seem like Tommy John's quite as certain as it used to be. They're doing some precautions here, but that's a bad break. But this is a lost season. I mean, there's nothing they're going to bail them. They're not going to bail themselves out. The Yankees have been like the Twins, so tremendous number of injuries, and they have not played well. Wouldn't it be great if you got to the postseason and neither the Yankees or the Dodgers made it?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. And dude, but it's a weird year. A lot of teams are having these injuries. I mean, it's we saw baseball just across the board. A lot of these, your favorite soft tissue injuries, the MRI diagnosis, getting a lot of these teams in a bind.
MRIs, let's get rid of them. But let's make them illegal as steroids in baseball. Let's not have them. You gotta. Unless you got like something breaking through the skin down there when you slide in this thing, you can't have an MRI. Sorry, play ball. But I mean, they're gonna dump a lot of guys.
Probably.
All the crews, and I wonder if somebody calls up. Probably not Kepler because you couldn't get anything for him right now because
you selling low.
If somebody wanted to give you something for Kepler, I think he'd probably go too because you got. Although we saw Kirilloff yesterday in right field, so as an outfielder, he's a very fine first baseman.
Yes.
But Miggy won't be around next year. But I don't know what they're going to end up getting for him. By the way, he hit that home run the other day. 700 feet, and everybody says, see, did you see that pitch, Michael?
No.
Left-hander, slide ball, inner half. As I said, Reavers could have hit a double off that pitch. It was the cookie of all time, and he did what you should do with a cookie. But it was not any indication that look out, here he comes. He just hit a 500-foot home run. It was a can't miss pitch. But there's nothing worse than a bad long baseball season because they never end, baby. They're there. There's nowhere. It's kind of like golf. There's nowhere to hide. You're playing again today. They're not playing again today, but virtually every day you're playing again today, and there's no relief from bad baseball.
Even I had Joe Mauer on last week, and he said, it's we're into June now. It's early, but it's not that early. I was like, that's about right.
Well, if you would have got Joe to rip him, you would have broken new ground.
That was about as close as we can get. That was as close as we could get.
You would have broken new ground. It is amazing how he's managed to become invisible, isn't it? Man, he's I can't wait to go see those two little girls at his play soccer, though. They're going to be phenoms.
Assistant coach Joe Mauer. Joe Mauer. Love it.
Well, I saw those when they had Joe Mauer, his retirement day, and those two little girls jumped over the down there beyond the dugout. They had them jump onto the field. And I think there were three then. And they were both rockets, whoosh. And I said, man, some soccer coach is going to get a hold of them when they're about 6. They're going to be phenoms, So they got that Mauer gene. Now, Joe didn't have the speed part of that, but it's a family trait going back several generations, athletic ability. So
no doubt. All right, Patrick, good stuff. Appreciate it. Appreciate you hopping on again today. We'll get to a whole bunch more stuff next week, and enjoy the rest of the week and the hot weather, Patrick.
Oh man, I was in my pool yesterday for the first time. That was a sight, but luckily I was by myself. So okay.
Thanks,
all
Patrick.
Right. Well, you'll have to get the kids over. Get in
let's do that.
Pool here, man. Let's do it. All right. See ya. Goodbye.
Let's end with the cooler. Julio Jones traded to the Titans, ending one of the biggest offseason storylines. The star wide receiver traded from the Falcons to the Titans, making the Titans even better. Will we have a resolution anytime soon to the biggest one, though? Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Of course, we talked a lot about that on Friday with Tyler Dunn on the podcast. Green Bay's minicamp starts Tuesday. Mandatory minicamp. Not expected Aaron Rodgers will be there, but will this minicamp shake loose some more information about what his long-term future is? Good question, and maybe we'll start to get some answers this week. Thanks for joining me here today on Daily Delivery. Phil Miller will be on the show on Tuesday to talk some Twins. Plenty of other good stuff coming up later in the week as well, so I hope to see you again then.